Hey guys, just wanted to try another live feed here in the Facebook group, and um, wanted to talk a little, some tips about practice to get your feedback and also to give you some advice. So, as you may know, I'm starting to work on my kind of language goals for this year and trying to start some new languages. For example, this week I'm trying to work a little bit on Estonian. Last week I was practicing a little bit of Finnish, and I realized um, it's one thing to say I'm going to be learning a language or learning a little bit, but it's another thing to actually do it. So I just want to recommend, like, if you're not actually learning a little bit each day, doing some daily practice, either listening, learning some vocabulary, reviewing some grammar, or practicing your writing, or most importantly, practicing your speaking, then it's like not as effective as it could be. So even if it's just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, try to incorporate something with your target language in your daily activities. So this could be like taking advantage of your kind of downtime when you're kind of in between two activities. So like if you are commuting to work, um, try to use some like audio files, like some podcasts or music or vocabulary lists, audiobooks, things like that that you could listen to while you're driving, as long as they won't be a distraction. Or if you're commuting in public transportation, like a bus or metro, try to have something that you can listen to on your phone or on some music device. So take advantage of those moments. If you're in the house and you're cleaning, doing some chores like washing the dishes or cleaning the house, have some audio on that you could listen to. And a few other things you can do. Take advantage of like taking notes on your phone, or if you have a notebook, actual physical one that you can take notes in. Again, take advantage of some of those moments when you are in that you hear a word and you try to write that down, or if you read something in a newspaper or in an article or in a book, try to write down the new vocabulary, try to keep track of it. Most of the time, a lot of students, they will instantly go onto a website like Google Translate or a digital like online dictionary. They'll look up the word and then they'll get that what they need for writing or speaking, and then it's kind of like throwing it away. Like they don't write it down, so they don't learn that word immediately. So in my opinion, that's kind of like a disposable razor where you just get the word you need and get rid of it. You don't keep it into your long term vocabulary. So keeping a notebook is a good way to keep track of new words. And also, you want to turn those words into active vocabulary. You don't want to just understand them when you're reading, listening. You want to try practicing them in your speaking and in your writing. There's a question here coming in from Paulino. So, hola, Paulino. He's asking, how can I practice speaking by myself? I'm going to show his question here. So, yeah, how can I practice speaking by myself? That's a great question. And one of the things that I did when I was taking part in the Add One Challenge was to record YouTube videos for 5 to 10, 15 minutes. And the benefit of doing that is that it's like practicing in front of a mirror, and you don't have the same level of stress if you are in a conversation with a native speaker or with a language exchange partner, where you can practice the speaking. And in the example that I had for Russian, I had to work on verb conjugations, noun declensions, adjective declensions, and that information takes a little bit of processing, mental processing, to kind of get those like just 3 words sequenced. It would take a bit of like, okay, what's that case? Okay, what is the ending for the plural? What's the ending for this? And that would take a while, and I had to do a lot of practicing, and it's practicing that is better done alone. Because if you have to do that in a conversation, the conversation just it goes very slow. A native speaker, if they're not patient, they won't want to have a conversation. So it's the kind of stuff that you want to do like in a mirror or with a recording. Just test yourself, drill it until it becomes more and more fluid, and you don't have to think about it as much. So another example I use to relate that of speaking by yourself is kind of like learning how to drive a car, like a stick shift. It can be very stressful to do that in the middle of traffic, surrounded by lots of people. But if you go to an empty parking lot, or you go to a quiet neighborhood and you just practice shifting gears from like stop, go, and first gear, that's kind of like what you're doing with language drills of verb conjugations, getting basic little subject and verb combinations, or verb and object combinations, or a noun and an adjective. Those are just the building blocks of speaking. You want to practice that as much as you can until it becomes more fluid and more automatic. So right now when I drive, I no longer have to think about shifting gears or what I do with my feet. It becomes automatic in my head. That stuff I've learned through constant drilling and constant practice on a daily rhythm. So now, like, those activities are no longer like at the top of my mind. I have to concentrate 100% on them. I can now shift them back into the background, and they just happen without realizing it. And that's when people talk about like fluency. I think a big part of fluency is automated, correct phrases, automated, correct bits and pieces of like the building blocks, the like verbs, nouns, adjectives. When those things start to kind of come out automatically and you don't realize it, that's a good step towards fluency. And I would say speaking in front of a mirror or recording yourself, like a YouTube video or some kind of a Facebook Live, it's a good way to document your progress on a daily basis. And it's a great way you can practice by yourself. You don't always have to be waiting for a teacher to be available or waiting for a language exchange partner on the other side of the world to be available, especially if time zones are a problem or a challenge. And also on some of these language learning platforms like HelloTalk, and record yourself, send it to your language exchange partner. They don't have to receive it instantly. They can review it later, give you feedback. So that's one way to overcome some of the time zone difficulties, where if you can't be online at the same time, but you still want to practice, you can practice, record yourself, send this message, and get feedback later. It's kind of like a message in a bottle. You put it in there, throw it, and then it'll come back, hopefully a couple hours, a couple of days. But even still, the daily practice that you put into your language learning, it's still going to be beneficial. The fact that you practice it, speaking, practice it on a daily basis, you're going to see the benefits in the long term. One of my language exchange partners for Russian was telling me that, like, before I was doing daily practice speaking by myself, making recordings, he said my grammar was really low, my pronunciation was really low, the pacing, the flow of the sentence was also very low, and my confidence was just also very low. But by constantly doing this on a daily basis, it got easier. It's like putting a ball in motion. It's really hard work to get it moving, but once it's moving, it gets easier over time. So over a period of doing these videos for like 90, 100 days, my grammar became more automatic. It became correct and automatic. The pronunciation, I knew what was correct and what was not. I could even self-correct my pronunciation and grammar. My vocabulary range was getting bigger, and the speed of speaking was getting faster. And overall, my confidence, because of all of that, was definitely a lot higher. So I would say it's a big part of that is through daily practice, daily recording with a mirror, with an audio. So yeah, thank you for that question. That's a long answer to respond to that, but that's definitely something I wanted to mention today with ways to practice your speaking, practice your learning on a daily basis. So don't just say I'm learning a language and do nothing, because that's oh, I'm saving money for a trip, but on a daily basis, there's no money being saved, and it's like, is that really happening? So if you are learning a language, try to include it in a daily part of your routine. So if it's early morning when you wake up and that's when you're refreshed and your battery is at 100%, take advantage of that to review some vocabulary, listen to some audio from the day before, and maybe then before you go to sleep, try to write down some goals that you have for the next day, things that you would like to practice, things that you would like to learn, and review that in the morning and take a few minutes to kind of find the answers to some of your questions from the day before, or review something at night and see if you remember it in the morning. So make it simple for you. It's like going to the gym. A lot of people right now, they probably sign up for a new gym membership, and they'll probably end up not going in February. And a big part of that is making it easy for you to accomplish your goal. So if you have to find your gym shoes, and then you have to find the clothing, and then you have to find a water bottle, and then you have to find your ID card to go. If all of that stuff is in random places in your house, it's going to be more obstacles to convince you, oh, forget it. I'm not finding this. Okay, let's do it. Let's forget about this. So with your language learning, you kind of want to avoid that as well. So just get everything into a convenient place. Have your books in one place. Have them open to a chapter. Have your notebook ready. Have a pen that works. Don't waste time with a pen that it doesn't write well. Just make it easy for you to go to a language learning area in your house and say, okay, this is where I'm going to work. I'm going to do something, get started, and give yourself an easy win. You don't want to have something that's, oh, well, I can do that, but first I have to do this, this, and this. That'll make life a little bit more challenging. I was like, oh, I'll work on my languages, but first I have to wash the dishes. Oh, first I need to go send that email. So if you give yourself all these priorities before, it'll probably not end up happening at the end of the day. So it's really important to kind of schedule those things early in the day so that you say, okay, I at least do a half hour in the morning, and you can have that check. Like, okay, I did it. I've been productive today. So if you wait for the end of the day, it's very difficult. I've done that before. I've seen that with the recordings that I've made where I'm tired. I want to go to bed, and I just want to forget this. And then it's very tempting. It's very easy to just let it go into the next day. And procrastinating and postponing is one way to not succeed with the language learning. You want to be able to schedule this and do it, and also make it bite-sized. That's been a really good piece of advice that I've received this past year is don't aim for an hour or 2 hours or these really long periods of studying. Try to do it bite-sized, like 5 minutes, and then maybe 5 minutes you enjoy it, it becomes 10 minutes. And then before you realize 10 minutes is now 15 minutes or 20 or a half hour. And so if you aim for small and then it gets more, then that's a good way to develop. But if you say, I have to do an hour, you have like a burden on yourself that I didn't do an hour, I did 45 minutes, so I failed my goal. So I think it's better to give yourself an easy win. Okay, I did 5 minutes, I did 10 minutes, and then build up, as opposed to, I didn't do an hour. And then if you start feeling bad about yourself, about I didn't do an hour, maybe it's like, okay, I'm just going to give up. So it becomes very easy to give up if you have a few fails. And if you do have a fail, like I didn't do 60 minutes or I didn't do a half hour, don't beat yourself up about it. That's been an important piece of advice I've received from lots of fellow language learners and language bloggers who said, like, if you miss a day, get back into the routine. Don't spend time thinking about the past. Yesterday is finished. Today is a new day. Just get back on the horse, saddle up, get back into your routine, and keep going. Just think like, okay, yeah, yesterday was difficult. I missed my goal for 30 minutes or something. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just kind of, today is a new day, a new opportunity, and start over. And give yourself the win. Okay, today I got a new win. So I know on some of these language learning platforms like Duolingo, they have like a little flame, a little fire, and they show you how many days you've been learning in a row. I think that works for some people to say, okay, I've done okay, I feel good about myself. I've done 2 days to 3 days. And it can work for some people that you get a streak that builds up. And if you miss a day, don't think it's the end of the world. Just tomorrow's a new opportunity, and then figure out why didn't that work? If it was your schedule, if it was the routine, if it was maybe like too of a goal that you needed to break it down into something easier. So, but beat yourself up about like, oh, I missed a day. Just get back into it the next day and keep going and see if you can build up a better routine or a better like the conditions in your study environment. Try as possible. Doesn't work, change it. Try something new. If it works, if it doesn't, move on. You need to figure out what is your learning strategy, what works for you. What works for me might not work for you. So you need to figure that out and try things. Either like, are you an early morning person? Are you a late evening person? When is the best time for you to study? When's the best time that you get the most from your memory work, from practicing, where you might not have distractions? So figure out when that works best in your day. So wrap it up here and just kind of briefly recap some of the tips I gave here today. Was kind of integrate your studying into a daily routine. Speak and practice by yourself, like Paulina was asking about, like, how can you practice by yourself? So try to record yourself, talk to a mirror, record, and be able to send maybe audio files to a language exchange partner for their feedback or review. Also, if you make this bite size, like 5 to 10 minutes, you increase that over time. Make it easy for you to accomplish your goal. So don't overcommit. Try to make it bite size, and then that can grow. And also just check your routine. And if you miss a day, it's not the end of the world. Start over the next day and just give yourself that win each day. So those are some of these advice I can give you for today. And this is something I woke up this morning thinking, like, if I just say I'm learning a language, but I'm not actually doing anything, then am I really learning it? And I was saying, like, well, no. If I'm not doing it actually each day, then it's not. I'm not learning. So that's why I wanted to share some of this advice with you. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment or a question. I'll be happy to take a look at that. So take care.